Uh, I know there are individuals that work at the casinos that seem to be able to have no difficulty working there. I do know that we have friends at the casino that don't seem to have any difficulty or discrimination. I'm not sure of that, but
there are many at the casinos. It's my understanding that there are many transsexuals.
How do you find the workplace? I mean, do we all work here?
Well,
Yes.
right. So I'm a research scientist, and I work for a major agricultural biotech company that really embraces broad diversity. So they, it's about embracing different cultures, obviously different races, but they also protect members of the GLBT community. And so when
GLBT, so my viewers...
gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender.
Okay, good.
So that I transitioned in my job and was fully supported by the company.
That's wonderful.
And I work with a bunch of biologists, so really people were more curious than anything. I'm lucky. My story isn't necessarily typical.
Right.
What about you two?
That's true.
Well, I'm unfortunately unemployed because it's sometimes they say it's a little easier to transition when you're already in a position because you can have a few more rights, so they can't really fire you. Whereas I transitioned in the end of high school, so it's just always been a struggle trying to find a job that's not gonna, like, I've had people suggest that I should wear men's clothing to work, and I was just like, absolutely not.
To make other people comfortable.
Yeah, and it's definitely tough to find a job, especially in the area that we are. There's still a lot of discrimination, and they're smart enough about it to not say it to your face, so you can't take legal action against it, but they'll be hiring, and then they'll be like, oh, we're actually not hiring right now, and it's just like, didn't you just hire someone just after me? But yeah, it usually changes. Like, they'll be fine, I'll talk to them on the phone, I'll go in for, a meeting with them, and then it all kind of changes once they see that my birth name is still on the application, and then it's kind of like, oh, what's this? And then they're like, actually, the position's already been filled, sorry, and it's tough, it really is.
And what kind of work do you do, or would like to do?
Well, I'm an artist, and I'd like to support myself doing that, and basically lately I've been just doing, like, redoing people's, like, houses and stuff, like, kind of decorating things, and just kind of odd jobs wherever I can find work, just trying to work for myself, because it's pretty difficult to try to find a company that can really, like, embrace you and not be paid minimum wage.
Yes.
Because those seem to be the only jobs I can get hired for, are just like minimum wage, low-paying jobs without much responsibility or without real much impact in society, and I don't know.
So then your transgender is affecting your housing and your ability just to...
Well, basically what it is, it's like, I need money, not just so I can move out and try to support myself. I need money so I can try to transition more and then worry about that. So it's like
What's the expense involved? Because I mean, obviously there's some serious medical...
Huge expense.
Yeah, and I would guess it's not covered by your typical health insurance.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
And I can't even get insurance.
Really?
No.
Yeah.
It's very, very expensive. I am certainly the farthest along in my transition in this group, and I can attest to that fact. It's a very, very expensive thing, and insurance companies, although that is changing, the insurance companies, I think, have seen the writing on the wall. My own insurance company, which is Blue Cross Blue Shield, has already put in place policies for how they're going to cover transgendered issues, although they're not paying for any of it yet, and they certainly didn't pay for any of mine. But it is very, very expensive. It's basically fully transitioning will bankrupt you pretty much.
Do you find doctors refusing service?
I have not found that. I have a wonderful bunch of doctors who have been very, very helpful.
And actually, you need help from the medical community, right, to do this, right?
Oh, yes.
And you can't do it without them.
No, you
That's
have
right.
to get their permission.
That's right.
So somebody has to say that,
Basically, they have a mental disorder, and then you can start it.
Right, there is a diagnosis.
Which is,
Yeah.
which is
Right.
old, it's old and outdated.
It's very
Still
outdated.
personal, but
But there is a thing called the Standards of Care of Dr. Harry Benjamin, which basically outlines what you have to do to actually transition and get the surgery. And basically it means that you have to go through psychological evaluations, psychiatric evaluations, and hopefully you get to see an endocrinologist and get hormones. And,
Pay them $1,500.
right, and exactly. It's all very expensive. And then eventually they will sign off on you because no surgeon will do this. The surgeries that we have, no surgeon will do it without written permission, basically, from your psychiatrist, psychologist, therapist. Because they're all afraid of liability in this and the possible litigation. They're afraid that we're doing this to hurt ourselves or something, which is absolutely not true. But there are certainly people out there that are crazy and that would conceivably do something like this and then turn around and sue the surgeon. So.
And there was the interesting case on the West Coast of the man who transgendered and then became pregnant to support his wife. I thought it was wonderful because he could, and why would you outsource, if you want to use a commercial term, if you can do that? I thought it was very interesting to bring the topic up in the media and the way people are handling it, because we have issues with broken homes, and we have issues with adoption and foster care and homeless children, and here's someone who's saying, I'm just like everybody else. I'm going to make decisions that are the best for my family.
Which is, it's wonderful if you can do it. Or it's hard saying that if you can do it. But certainly that is a wonderful thing. And we actually have one female to male transsexual in our group. We're hoping to get some more. Right now we're mostly male to female. But there's certainly a lot of them out there, and we're hoping that they will join us.
Now, we had and it's not really the same, well, it's kind of the same time. We had a bar in New London that shut down a couple of years back, and it was our gay bar. And I used to live right behind it, so I hung out there a lot, and I was sad to see it go, and I wondered, what is the support of New London as far as your community? Are you finding that there's this tendency to try to push you out, or is anyone embracing you? Because you're saying you have to go to certain bars, you have to go to certain.
Well, you can go anywhere you want as long as you don't let
As long
anyone
as
know.
but that's not living.
Yeah,
that's
you have
right.
to. It depends if you want to be open or not, where you can go.
I certainly haven't had any trouble in the GLBT community. I've enjoyed a great deal of warmth and support in the New London community. It's really been nice.
Yeah.
And do you have any places you can go for entertainment and dancing and dating and?
Dating is tough.
Dating
very
is tough.
It's a real it's a quandary. We basically, and I think I probably speak for everyone. It's very hard because there are certainly men out there, and I don't want to speak for everybody's preferences here, but certainly there are men out there that will be interested, but it's very, very hard to. And I have kind of a rule: I won't go out with anybody that doesn't know my history, because it can be so dangerous. A man who may openly like me and want to go out with me could become very violent if he finds out later.
Right.
So I have kind of a rule. I make sure that anybody I go out with knows up front, so that there isn't going to be an issue. But it can be very, very tough, and so it can limit your possibilities as far as people that you might go out with.
There's a whole fear, an uneducated situation of what this is about. And one of the reasons why we welcome, and I said thank you, to allow many people are